We are talking with Dr. Gary Chapman today about his new book, Life Lessons and Love Languages. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this today.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be with you.
The book talks about some of the pillars of life lessons that we learn as we go along in our journey of life. Maybe you could touch base on some of those first. I know they include home and marriage and children, but tell us a bit about the idea behind life lessons.
Yeah, what I did is kind of reflect on my life because I'm in the fourth quarter of my life. Okay. And I thought if I'm going to reflect, I better be doing it. So I went back through the 5 basic areas of my life, my childhood, my educational journey, my marriage, my children, and my vocation, and how all of those impacted me. And so what I'm doing is dipping back into those areas and picking out some of the lessons that I learned along the journey. For example, in my educational journey, one of the things I learned is that education takes place inside and outside the classroom. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we think, well, it's in the classroom, but it's the things you learn outside the classroom often that are tremendously impactful on your life. For example, I remember the postmaster of the college post office said to me one day, he said, we were talking about Billy Graham, and he said, you know what I pray for Billy Graham? I pray that God will keep his heart. And when he said that, I started praying that for myself, God, keep my heart, because everything comes out of the heart. And through all these years, that stuck with me. And that's what I asked God for, to keep my heart. I want to be faithful to the end of the journey. So it's little things like that along the way that impact us. Another thing that deeply impacted me outside the classroom was when I was working for the Navigators in their summer training program in Colorado Springs. And they assigned me a job of running a folder. And I thought, I can do this now. I'm a pretty smart guy. And they gave me instructions and I couldn't get it to work. 4 days, all day long I worked. I couldn't get it to work. And finally, on Friday, I read that verse in John 15:5, where Jesus said, I'm the vine, you're the branches. You stay connected to me, you bear fruit. Without me, you can do nothing. And I said, oh God, I can't even run a dumb folder without you, And so I said, please give me the wisdom on running this folder. And I went in and everything just worked perfectly, And I've never forgotten that lesson. Without God, I can do nothing. We sometimes think, we can't even breathe without God, Yeah. And that has been a part of my life, a lesson that's just been powerful for me. So, those are the kind of things that I share in this book. I hope they're going to encourage people to look back in their own life and see the hand of God. And for younger folks, I hope it's going to help them, some things they want to emulate in my life and some things they want to avoid, because I share the successes and the failures.
How important is it for us to learn from those who've gone ahead of us and then to pass that along to those who are following us as we go through life?
Well, I think it's exceedingly important, and that's really the reason and motivation behind my writing my own memoirs, is I just realized I don't know anything about my great-grandfather, nothing. And I thought, I wonder what kind of guy he was, I wonder, And I thought, I want my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren and my great-great-grandchildren to know a little bit about my life, the things I've learned. I think it would be helpful to them, And I'm encouraging the book other people who are getting older in life to take time to write down some of the things that you've learned through your life. Even if it's never published, you can pass it along to your children and your grandchildren. And to the younger people, I'm saying, listen, all around you are older adults who are filled with wisdom. Mm-hmm. Some things they learned the hard way.
As you go through each new decade, what are some of the things that you've learned that are part of the process of going through life?
Well, one of the things I learned is that our plans are not always God's plans. It's okay to make plans. I had plans, but as I look back on, the decades, for example, I have served on a church staff, the same church staff for 50 years. Mm-hmm. I didn't plan that, and it's been very different. 10 years was college ministry and 10 years was single adult ministry and then couples ministry. Of course, counseling was a part of that all along the journey there. but so I say to younger Christians, you know, fine, have plans, but hold your plans in an open hand before God, because his plans may be better than because his plans will be better than your plans, and often bigger than your plans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in my own life, for example, my wife and I aspired to be missionaries, and we got turned down by the mission board because of her health. And we were both very frustrated with that. Because we wanted to go teach in another country and teach national so they can reach their country for Christ. And so we were very frustrated with all of that. But now looking back on our life, you know, my books are in over 50 languages around the world. And one day I was opening up a box of books from other countries, and we always pray for the country and pray for the book that God will use it to touch lives. And I looked over on the couch and she was crying. And I said, honey, what's wrong? And she said, nothing's wrong. I'm just remembering we want to be missionaries. Mm-hmm. And now your books are all over the world. Yeah. You know, our plans were fine. It's just God designed it a little differently from what we had anticipated.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. Well, thank you for taking the time today to tell us about life lessons and love languages. I wish all the success for the book. And that I hope it reaches people in a way where it inspires them to become both mentors and to listen to those who are ahead of them in life. And thank you for the time.
Well, you're welcome.